As soon as I had a place to stay, to live, I thought that I should be doing something else. And there were two girls that live above me, the Tiefenbachers, Wendy and Lynn Tiefenbacher. And they ran some kind of community workshop on 6th Street. And they asked me if I wanted to learn how to silk screen. So I said, sure, yeah, that sounds cool. So I learned how to silk screen. And so then I started doing that. And then I started painting. Because, once I saw that I could make an image by silk screening, I knew that I couldn't. I don't know how to draw or how to paint anything for real, but I thought, there is certain kind of painting, of art that I can do, the pop art vein of, and so I started making paintings that look like supermarket signs. So by late 1973, I was painting here most of the time, and my door was always open. So one day, this character came in and said hello and started talking to me and told me that he was coming to see a girl upstairs. He wasn't the Tiefenbachers anymore, it was somebody else, some other girls. And that turned out to be Didi Ramon. So he was the first Ramon that I met. But by then, I was interested in photography and silk screening and painting. So I thought that, okay, maybe I have something to say and there's some things I can do in this area. Even since before they played their first show at CBGB, Didi had already asked me, because like I said, he used to come here, I was always painting, and I remember once I was doing a big painting. So I was working on this painting, and it was covered on masking tape, what I use for tracing. And then I started peeling the tape, and all of a sudden, like, the painting was like being like revealed. It was like opening a curtain, and Didi was looking because it was finished. All I had to do was peel it off. And the day I finished the painting, it's a supermarket sign painting. That painting used to be right there, back behind me, on that wall. So anyway, this is the painting that I was unveiling, and Didi looked at it, and he goes, "Is that art?" And I said, "I hope so. I think it is." So anyway, so he decided that I was an artist. And then he used to tell me, when we do our albums, I want you to design our covers, and I want you to design posters, and So he had already decided that I was going to, get involved. After Didi, Tommy came to check me out and report to Johnny. And Tommy's report was, he's good for us. He has an Andy Warhol-like sensibility, but he's a real rock and roll fan too. He's okay. That was Tommy talking to Johnny. That's what makes a movement, really. There has to be writers, there has to be musicians, and there has to be visual artists involved. And of course, New York City has an abundance of all of it. And I think the fact that New York is not a very good rock and roll town, not that much comes out of New York, but everything that comes out of New York is more or less like, groundbreaking. And it was just the right time at the right place that made it natural for all these different kind of artists, to get involved. Because it wasn't only what was around the main musicians. There was a lot more that didn't necessarily wasn't exported. It wasn't necessary. What happened at the clubs was something that stayed at the clubs because it wasn't necessary. It was something to be experienced by going to a club, you know. And what artists like Basquiat and Keith Haring were participating in these events. What was happening at Danceteria, you know. It was just as important. And it would cause the same ripples throughout the world. Because again, people would come to these clubs and go back to Paris or go back to Tel Aviv and go back to Aruba and open up a club that did the same things that the clubs in New York did. But it was a combination of all of those artists. The club scene was very important. So we didn't have a poster, and I wanted to put something at the entrance, some kind of image building. We didn't have the logo, of course not. But I had already taken photos in a photo booth on 42nd Street of another one of my nylon t-shirts and the eagle, the belt, that ended up in the first album cover. It was a different eagle. It was like, it looked like was made by drunk Vikings or something, like really rugged looking. It was made of lead too. And it actually came from a Navy band, music band. So it was white leather and this ugly looking eagle thing. But I took lots of photographs of it at the photo booth. So we used one of those photographs, we just blew it up directly from the and we made posters. And I put him at the entrance of CBGB's, you know. And he was really successful. He was very successful. Got press from, that's when press from all over the world started coming. And the eagle being an all-American symbol and a symbol that reflects some of the best also American qualities, you know. I wanted to use eagles for that reason. And so I was using the eagles, you know, before the Ramones. That eagle existed, the eagle in the Eisenhower dollar, it's called it's 1972 silver dollar, it's called the Eisenhower dollar. So anyway, the eagles were mine. The eagle, and it's very important in the Ramones. You know, all the eagle theme there, all the all-American red, white, and blue. I think Andy's influence keeps going and going and going. I think Andy, just like any other classic artist, he's a classic of our times. He totally told the story of what makes us tick and what makes us want things and be victims of, you know, consumer society. Consumerism and the media are two themes that Warhol mastered and showed us, you know, where we exist, you know, in relation to this concept. I always liked him. I always liked his work. I always felt that on my own pop antics, I was always at least 10 years behind him. But I thought, okay, better late than never. You know, when I'm painting supermarket signs, you know, in the 70s, of course, you know, I knew that it was nothing new. But I was walking on 2nd Avenue one day and saw the supermarket and I thought, oh, I could make that painting.